This video is about the need for universal basic income, and why men need it, and why the idea is pro-male. Let's start the video off by looking at how tradcons worship women for just existing. Here is a comment by a tradcon woman. Look how many upvotes she has gotten. Let's listen to her comment.
JD. 8 months ago. I'm a stay-at-home mum. I get asked often how I can stand being home all day with my kids. I enjoy it, and when I answer this I get laughed at. Yup, silly me for enjoying my job of homemaking.
She got all those upvotes and praise just for being a lazy stay-at-home parasite. She got nearly 1,000 upvotes from thirsty desperate men. She is getting praised for just existing. Since women get praise for just existing, and shitting out kids at sub-replacement rates, you cannot really be surprised that a female supremacist ideology like feminism exists. Also, a homemaker is not a job. Unless she built the house brick by brick with her own hands, she is not a homemaker. The term is just a nice-sounding euphemism for lazy women who exploit their men. I am not just making videos to complain. We all know what idiots tradcons are, how they shoot themselves in the foot by pandering to women, and then blame the leftists for the results of their own actions. I want to talk about solutions as well. If you want to strike a blow against tradcons, then advocate for a universal basic income for everyone. This will trigger right-wingers. They will post dribble and thought-terminating cliches about communism, and how you need to move to North Korea. Stand up, all victims of female oppression. For the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your need for female validation. For you have nothing if you have no human rights. Let sexist anti-male ignorance be ended. For respect makes the feminist tradcon empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended. Unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers. For the struggle carries on. The Male International unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally. For this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the male sex. The concept of a universal basic income was advocated for by the Nobel Prize-winning right-wing economist Milton Friedman. I suppose he was a Marxist as well, right? The right-winger wants to bribe women to be lazy stay-at-home housewives, because deep down he knows women are not interested in the default male. If a man doesn't offer a woman anything except his own company, the woman will not associate with that man. Right-wingers complain about welfare all the time. This is something I have seen a lot of plastic MGTOW do as well. They see welfare as a threat to their provider role. They blame welfare for women not being interested in them as men. No-fault divorce and alimony were reforms the right passed to try and get marriage rates back up. They were bribes to get women back into marriage. Right-wingers love all forms of collectivism that subsidize the nuclear family, including army benefits. Hey, North Korea is highly militarized. Why don't pro-military right-wingers fuck off to North Korea then? Their own thought-terminating cliches can be used against them. Right-wingers love tax breaks, and subsidies married couples get. They will gobble those up without a second thought. The gender roles women try to enforce on men are highly toxic and anti-male. Women not only leech off men, but they discard them in the most ruthless and destructive manner possible. It is almost like the system is designed to torment and torture discarded men. Forced to pay alimony, barred from seeing their kids if the mother deems it, forced to pay child support, sometimes even at levels beyond their total income, and then jailed for not paying. Men do not benefit from associating with women, so the state subsidizing and keeping the relationship game going is not in the interests of men. Women get more welfare and goodies than men to boot, so poor men are at a massive disadvantage compared to women in that regard. The way to cut through that bullshit is simple. Just bring in a universal basic income and everyone gets the same. Tradcons will howl and scream about this being communism, because they will rightfully see it as a threat to their bribing of women. If women wanted to be with men and have kids, they would be with them. There would be no need to bribe women. There would be no need for married men to work longer hours to convince a woman to be with them. Women get more access to the job market than men, more welfare, and they got gender roles to fall back on. A woman can get a desperate male to provide for her. Plenty of men would love to let a woman move in with him rent-free. Not many men would let a man move in with him rent-free. There is going to be more unemployment in the future anyway, and Tradcons wanting to block universal income is going to cause poor men a lot of pain. Tradcons are resentful and spiteful, and do not care about poor men. Tradcons think a system of winners and losers is important, so the winner men can distinguish themselves from the loser men. When the Tradcon men end up being losers, and crushed by the anti-male gynocentric system, they whine about communism being to blame. They wanted a system of winners and losers, but when it gets applied to them, they cry and whine. Women being able to reject and destroy men is part of the winners and losers system. A universal income would help men survive, even the ones discarded by women. If there was a universal income, there would be no pretext for alimony and welfare goodies for single mothers. There would be no pretext for child support. It would help cut through all this gender bullshit, and help men get more equality. More automation is coming. That means there will be less work for men in society in general. Less provision and slaving for men to bribe women with. I am sure men would still pander to women, jobless men would run black markets to try and raise money to bribe women, but I believe a universal income would help reduce the ability of men to pander to women. It would be in the interests of women to shack off with these men, as it would double their basic income. But I got the feeling due to female nature, and their desire for social dominance over men, that doubling their basic income would not be enough for them. Women are not interested in men. Dating sites are the perfect example. Women use high-tech mass communication not to interact with a broader range of men, but to deselect more men, and waste the time of most men on dating sites. Also, a lot of online dating sites have fake female profiles. The real men outnumber real women by 4 to 1, maybe even more. Meanwhile, gay men use the internet to find sex quicker and easier, with no messing about. Women are not interested in men for sex or friendship, they are interested in their status and resources. With a universal income, there would be less to distinguish men from other men. Also, there would be less desperate women, willing to shack up with a man just for security. A universal income would deny desperate needy men opportunities to be exploited by women. Desperate needy men would rage and howl about this, and blame communism, the Illuminati, the Jews, the leftists, for bringing in universal income, and would see it as a conspiracy to destroy the family unit. The more freedom women get, the more choices in life they get, and the less women choose to be with men. This is a trend that will only continue. While it will most likely never disappear, the provider role for men will greatly decline, due to automation reducing the amount of jobs for men. The US military is the state artificially subsidizing the male provider role in a very wasteful and inefficient way, most likely to bribe right-wing Republican men who can't find jobs into voting Republican. Then these right-wing Republican men look down on unemployed men who get food stamps, and feel morally superior to them. The USA and the UK will most likely be the last two industrialized countries that implement universal basic income. This will cause a lot of suffering to men and society as a whole, but even the right-wing Tradcons obsessed with their outdated provider-slave roles for men, will not be able to stop the tide of history forever. The right wing will come up with all sorts of reasons to object to universal income, but at the end of the day, the motive behind their objections will be purely based on resentment. For example, the US privatized healthcare system is the most expensive and inefficient of the major industrialized nations. It would be more cost-effective if it went completely public. Yet the average resent-fueled right-winger doesn't care about this fact. Every objection and argument made by a right-winger against a socialized healthcare system will just be a post hoc rationalization for his resentment. I paid for my healthcare for my entire life. It is mine, mine, mine. Why should other people get free healthcare? Is what these guys will think. These right-wingers are so resent-filled, it doesn't matter to them that they too would benefit from a socialized public healthcare system. Their own resentment overrides rational self-interest. Universal basic income will face the same sort of objections. Unemployed, or low-waged right-wing men, who would benefit from a universal income will object to it. It doesn't matter if they would profit from it, they just don't want other people, that they look down upon as being beneath them, getting any money or help. Pro-male men must reject resent-filled men. Pro-male men should support a basic universal income. It is in the interests of men, and will give women less leverage over men. Women are currently getting men fired from their jobs for all sorts of petty crap. If a man had a universal basic income to fall back upon, he could give his bullying female co-workers the middle finger and just leave.